Welcome back to the Circuit de la Sarthe here at Le Mans in central France. Race 2 of the Road to Le Mans, part of the Michelin Le Mans Cup season, is about to get underway, and it does so under sunny skies and with the fans back in place. This is the fabled circuit, 13.626 kilometres, and much of it on still public roads. Closed since Wednesday, will reopen only after the end of the Le Mans 24 hours, which happens, of course, starts this afternoon and goes on for, guess what, 24 hours. Famous names, famous corners, the 3 timing sectors of the circuit, and this grid packed with Lmp3 and Gt3 cars now going around on their formation lap. There's one other car, as well as those that is taking place this morning, rather, and that is the historic debut in racing here at Le Mans for the H24 hydrogen electric, the hydrogen fuel cell powered number 24 car. It will be 47 cars to take the start today. If you're watching the first race on Thursday, big accident for Charles-Henri Samani, mercifully unhurt in his race Timothy AMG. That car will not be back with us. The damage too much for it. 20 degrees in the air, 35 degrees and rising with the track temperature. Joined in the booth for the start of the race by Martin Haven and by Bailey Vorzan from United Autosports. We'll have Simon Butler from RLRM Sports as well on the broadcast a little later. Martin, looking forward to this one? Absolutely, and look at the temperatures already. Air temperature 20, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, 35 degrees of track temp, and if the early morning cloud clears off, that will be closer to 50 by the time we start the race. So Bailey, slightly different conditions from race 1 on Thursday, but for all of these drivers, a great opportunity again to just live the high life, because this is one of those tracks that every racing driver has heard of and wants to have a crack at.
Absolutely, it's one of the tracks on the calendar that everyone just wants to be at, so it's a fantastic opportunity for these drivers to have the chance to race here, and that's what the Le Mans Cup Championship has done so well, is that they have given them a round at Le Mans, and what a fantastic place to be at.
It is, and you know, you can imagine just how that bolsters the field against any other potential form of relatively cost-efficient prototype racing. Only one do you get, not just one, but 2 races at Le Mans. And Graham, it's all part of encouraging driving and engineering and teams to come up the ladder eventually to compete in the full 24 hours.
You're absolutely right, and let's go through the runners and riders as the graphics work through the bottom end of the grid. Let's tell you, pole position here is the WTM racing car by Rinaldi. Torsten Kratz will start the number 11 Duquesne alongside Alexander Matchel, the race-winning car from Thursday. Racing Spirit Le Mans bringing home a 1-2 in race 1. They will start on the inside of the grid and second position, the front row, Alexander Matchel. Cool Racing's 25, Mikey Benham, a previous race winner here in years gone by. He starts the 25 Cool Racing car. The 43 Racing Spirit of Le Mans car will make up row 2. Row 3, Freddie Hunt, son of the late and very great James Hunt, starts the all-white number 76 Light Engineering Ligier, and John Melsom in the number 4 Nielsen Racing car.
Working through our grid, in amongst the GT3 cars is the H24 racing car number 24. And again, this is a program that the ACO have initiated themselves as part of what the remit of Le Mans has always been, which is trying to bring new technology to the race that then will be speedily developed potentially for the road. And we can think of, you know, decent lights, decent wipers, proper disc brakes. I mean, so many other elements of what the stress of this track produces in a car go through into mainstream manufacture. And Bailey, that means that these cars are as reliable as modern road cars, is that you can just give it everything from the moment the lights change to the moment the checkered flag comes out with absolutely no holding back.
That's the thing, this track is so testing of these cars, and it's what a fit place to be able to test it at and try and prove the reliability of them. And it's great to see the advancement in technology with a hydrogen fueled car, being the H24. So yeah, no, it's fantastic, and you know, what a place for them to do it at Le Mans.
Got to have some problems for number 13 out of Marshall's post 11. That's on the run down towards the first Mulsanne chicane. So we'll keep an eye out, see whether or not that delays any proceedings.
Flags back in, so it looks like he's got going. Over, well, nearly 40 LMP3 cars, and they're the faster cars in the field, but the GT3 battle will be just as tough. WRT's Arnaud Robin in the Audi. He is the pole sitter in GT3. They had a really good race. Spirit of Race Ferrari second in what is a bigger field here, because of course everybody wants to race at Le Mans. And so coming with GT3 cars, you look at a team like WRT, they've got such history with GT3 Audis. Next year, GTE disappears and GT3 becomes the GT component at Le Mans.
24
rather.
But you're absolutely right. Yeah. But they're clearly testing out their worth here. Second year for WRT in the GT3 class at this race. There is the blue Audi, and well up, by the way, in amongst the LMP3s with the next car in line, the 52 Spirit of Race Ferrari, hands of Hugo Delacour, and the first of 3 GMB Hondas, third in that order in GT3. By the way, while we're talking about GMB Motorsports, best wishes to Casper Elgaard, team manager of GMB Motorsports, brought this fantastic effort with 3 Honda NSX GT3s. Can't be here this weekend. Casper, we're thinking of you. All the very best, and we hope to see you back at the track soon, my friend. That Danish effort with 3 Hondas. Marvellous addition to this grid. GMB Motorsport, a team with real ambition to be a firm part of that GT3 future that starts in the FI World Endurance Championship and in the European Le Mans Series and here at the Le Mans 24 Hours from the 2024 season. So the end of the era with GTE Pro this year, the end of GTE after 2023 season in the World Endurance Championship, and then we go GT3 with what was announced yesterday with a GT3 premium package as has been billed for the Le Mans 24 Hours.
Excellent.
Here we go. This
Lights
is
off.
Absolutely. This is the pack of LMP3s, and all of a sudden it's a bit like the cuckoo in the nest, isn't it? That's that Audi in the middle there. Pick out the Ferrari further back, and then a little bit further back again, the first of 3 almost identical red Honda NSXs, and it is Honda branded here with the McDonald's livery on the nose of those cars. Then the H24 car makes its way through, the all-white car with the massive air intake.
Yeah, that's full on 1970s, isn't it? That is proper snorkel air scoop almost.
It needs a lot of air and a lot of cooling, and this is the start for this technology at Le Mans. Announced again that they're aiming still for 2025 for hydrogen fuel cell powered cars in the Le Mans 24 Hours. It's a challenging time frame for that, and if you take off, by the way, the rear deck of that car, there is a lot of radiator underneath that engine cover. You can say engine cover, the power plant cover in the case of this thing, has its own filling station at the start of pit lane, with Total Energies bringing their containerised hydrogen filling station here. But let's talk about the technology later. Let's talk about the racing next, and look as well for some of the cars that are somewhat out of position here. Keep an eye out at Horst Felbermeyer Jr. in the number 15 RLRM Sport car, who's way down the order. Way further than they expected to be here. Porsche leading car, getting the field in order here. They'll be getting instruction from race control, 2x2.
So 2x2 formation as they head into the chicanes at the end of this single formation lap.
In comes the Porsche leading car, and rumbling down as they wait for the lights to go out, and we're going to get underway for race 2 of the Road to Le Mans, round 3 of the Michelin Le Mans Cup, and away they go. Torsten Kratz gets the power in.
Alexander Matschall on the inside line, but Kratz with a red and white car sweeping around the outside in the Dunlop curve. And traditionally here, cars go left, right and centre. Cold tyres, cold brakes, everything grabbing. And again, half a dozen cars going through on the infield. Anybody facing the wrong way? No. Couple of lockups. Looks like we may have got away with that, but not out of trouble yet. We saw a few of the local fauna getting slaughtered on the opening lap of our Ligier European Cup race. They seem to have survived as well. The Crows have cleared off from the infield. And as they sweep down onto the Mulsanne straight for the very first time, there's the Team Virage car, Rob Hodes. Team Virage winning in the earliest race of the day, the Ligier European Series, and starting procedures for car number 13 under investigation. We'll see what happens there. There are yellows further back, but the leaders heading to the first chicane.
Yeah, double yellows at Marshall Post 3. Freddie Hunt already getting stuck in and taking a position there, up to 4th position. Again, very raceable, these LMP3 cars. CD Sport car there, looking to make a move, but it wasn't close enough for the United Autosports car. On the Graf cars, taking to the infield to just make the chicane there. They come through, though. Torsten Kratz getting away a little bit now in the WTM Racing number 11 car from the number 10 Racing Spirit of Le Mans.
Behind the green and black machine, United Autosports' John Schauerman had to take a little bit of evasive action, and he has lost a couple of spots. But here we go, Freddie Hunt, side by side, door handle to door handle, the white car of Freddie Hunt, just hanging on under braking. This is going to be an entertaining race, isn't it? 3rd place ahead of Cool Racing's Mike Benham. And again, smoke in the background. Now, that might be a barbecue for breakfast. You can never really tell around this place. And Bailey, if you get to race early in the morning, you do get full English breakfast smells all the way around this track, as well as hot oil and hot tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. And walking down the paddock, you've got all the hospitality units serving breakfast for their respective drivers and mechanics. But what a place. And this racing, the toe is so strong around here that they're going to have to be able to break that to be able to get away from any kind of car behind them. And you can see that Duquesne...
I'll just interrupt. The 57 car in trouble. I think that's the second chicane.
Yeah, that's Graf's Stefan Rupp.
Yeah, Graf's the number 57 car just ground to a halt there. Didn't see what was going on. It, by the way, was the T2 by Hegeli car who's in trouble in the early part of the lap. We've not seen that instant yet. And apologies for the interruption there.
Well, that's the pass we saw, by the way. We'll document it. Rob Hodes losing 10th in the yellow Team Virage car to DKR's Alexander Buchanoff, rather, so he moved up the order.
Yeah, Buchanoff is driver coached by Jimmy Winslow, by the way. We'll be seeing later on in that car. This is part of the attraction of this formula. You've got this ebb and flow. Some of the teams will choose to start the non-professional drivers. Some will choose to take that risk and put the quicker driver in, particularly if they got the car out of order. One of the other changes, by the way, the 44 GMB Honda has made its way past the Spirit of Race car. In fact, we've got a Honda 2.3 now in GT3 as we watch the LMP3 cars. It's the middle pack of the top 10 here with CD Sport challenging the number 4 Nielsen Racing car. Fabien Michel on John Melsom at the moment. Tony Wells is the next car up the road in the reigning championship winning crew, number 7 from Nielsen Racing.
And that car finished number 7 on the podium Thursday in 3rd place. The Hondas conspired to throw away most of the podium for most of the race in the GT3 field, and then came through with 2 podium results behind winner Fabio Babini, who's in the Porsche with the bright yellow bonnet. He is in the Ebi Motorsport. Emanuele Busnelli has started it. He is struggling a little bit, but Freddie Hunt, bit between his teeth, now just 1 car ahead of him, and that is the leader, Torsten Kratz. Freddie Hunt really having a great weekend here at Le Mans, not a track that his father ever raced at, and probably was never that interested in, but Freddie...
Oh, big twitch! Big twitch there from Freddie Hunt. Did well to get hang on to it. It's the number 3 car.
DKR number 3.
That's John Brownson, I think, in that car.
Wow. And that is John Brownson, and that car is down and out.
It's a terrible morning for Lance Herr, because he was due to get
contact.
That car.
2 cars involved.
That was one
and
of
the other was the
Hondas.
Honda.
Couldn't see which the 44 car. It's the 2nd place car.
Wow.
So John Brownson in trouble, the 44 car in trouble. That was clattering over the curbs.
Yeah.
Nothing Brownson could do there. That was rather a fumble, wasn't it, from the 44 car?
Absolutely. Big mistake there from Jens Moller.
That's a driver that is highly experienced, including racing here in the quite distant past. So Jens should have known better than that one. Freddie Hunt, though, pushing on as we've had the rolling thunder of these LMP3 cars pass by us on the start-finish straight now. It all goes quiet again for a little wee while.
But that's all part of it, you know, they look the part, they sound good, they've got good aero, they've got good grip. I mean, it's a real race car. This isn't a sort of junior category.
No, nothing of that sort. It's got an awful lot of downforce and an awful lot of power. And in fact, a lot of the teams have taken different approaches in terms of downforce setups around here. A lot of them deciding to go for actually a mid-downforce setup, and a lot of them deciding to go for a low downforce setup. The mid-downforce just allowing you to carry a bit more corner speed, whereas the low downforce allowing you a bit more straight line speed to be able to attack into those braking zones. So it's interesting to see which one will play out better. But I'll be honest, just the toe, that is the most important thing around here, is having the timing, having the best exit possible, and just being able to tow up to the car in front.
Got Felipe Larsa there, the pro driver in the Fricadelli Racing team. It's undressing itself mid-race.
It is, yeah. Stripping the banners off the side of the car.
This is the family-owned team from Klaus Abelen, the widower of the fabled Sabine Schmitz, and we miss her in motorsport, of course.
Can you imagine how much she would have enjoyed racing at a place like this? She would probably have said, 18 corners, it's barely even worth showing up, or 38 corners, barely even worth showing up. Where's the other 100? But it's a, you know, this is not the Nordschleife, it's a very different kind of a challenge, but I'm sure, in fact, I'm sure Klaus himself would love to do the race as well. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of that in the future.
Got trouble for the 22 United Autosports car, which got double yellows at Marshall's Post 35, which is right in front of us here at the Ford chicane, but no sign of that car removed. But the 22 car has plummeted. Skydiver.
DKR's John Brownson is currently trundling around. I think he will be a pit caller. 50-minute race, 55-minute race, and a mandatory mid-race pit stop. These are all two-driver cars, Bailey. We saw in the Ligier prototypes in the Ligier European Series, the JP4, that there were single drivers, but here I think the budgets are significantly increased and everybody is splitting the funding and splitting the driving.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a two-driver lineup. Typically a non-professional driver and a professional driver. And to be honest, the role of the non-professional is just stay out of trouble as much as possible, and then hand over to your professional, and he can do a lot of the hard work.
I see it the other way around. The role of the professional is to somehow engineer more speed out of the gentleman driver, who, after all, is paying all the bills, including your own salary as the pro. So but it's like everything else, isn't it? It is a team environment, and if one of you is slow and the other one is quicker, then the quicker driver tries to help the slower one. The Fricadelli car looking to make a move around the inside of the Dunlop curve. That didn't quite work out for him, so perhaps Louis San Juan just ahead of Felipe Larsa right now. Larsa trying to work his way up the order towards the top 10.
And that's important because they've put the pro driver in first in the Fricadelli car. The point of doing that is to make that progress. So he needs to make progress further up the order. We have seen cars in this field making significant progress from some delay. Continues to lose its wrap there. One other car I'm keeping an eye on, and it'll be particularly interesting, the other co-commentator we'll be hearing from later in the broadcast, and that is, that's trouble for the 66 Rinaldi car.
Right rear has gone, and that's on the Mulsanne. And
Daniel Kielfitz, another of the teams that put the pro driver in first. So this is disaster for them.
Is that somebody's debris, or has he hooked a curb and punctured, lacerated the inside sidewall? Either way, back with Rob Hodes, Team Virage, loops it around, loses ground. He was challenging John Melson in the United car, in the Nielsen car, beg your pardon, and dropped back down the order. Jean de Sadelier behind him. Felipe Larsa's got ahead of Louis San Juan, so he has made up a spot. No, here comes San Juan right beside him.
Doesn't quite have the top of the straight line speed. Can he do it here?
How much of a side toe do you get here? Sometimes you see, like in touring cars on the Dottinger, they'll be bobbling to and fro from each other in each other's wake. Because like a speedboat, you do leave a wake beside you as well as behind you.
He's got damage on the rear as well of that car, so that car's been very much in the wars.
You do get a little bit of a side draft, but to be honest, you don't get an awful lot. As soon as you pull out behind from behind the car in front of you, you always hit a wall of air, and that momentum sort of stops.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to time it right and be able to not pull out too early, otherwise you are just in no man's land.
And we've all passed trucks on the highway in a road car. We get that bobble where you come into that wake off the cars, and although you don't see it, or off the trucks, if you don't even see it, you get the same thing here from the car. So once you cross that wake, then you're on your own. And you're right, you've had to build up that momentum, otherwise, right now I'm stuck and I'm on the wrong racing line as well.
It's going to be a drive-through penalty for that car 44, Jens Muller, after that collision with car 3. John Brownson, by the way, has made it back to the pit lane, but they're effectively done here, rather sadly, for the number 3 DKR team. Until last year, by the way, a team unbeaten in the Michelin Le Mans Cup and Lmp3.
They're absolutely exemplary record.
Absolutely, they've changed their racing priorities, and that's Brownson out the car, and I'm sure that car's going no.
Emanuele Busnelli in the Ebby Motors Porsche was just shaping up a move on Ugo Delacour in the Spirit of Race Ferrari as we watched it. No, I don't think that's going any further. Here is the lead battle. WTM's Torsten Kratz. They've had plenty of success in Le Mans Cup races. And Reiter Engineering, Reiter, of course, Lamborghini, Corvettes, Maseratis over the year in GTs. They've done a lot of racing in VLN racing and on the Nordschleife, but
KTM nowadays with Hans Reiter and the crew. But they've been responsible for the development of that car into GTX and GT2 form. And that's another car that's bringing on gentleman talent in particular. They come through. It's a new fastest lap of the race for Torsten Kratz with a 3:51.265.
And a really quick lap on the way round to the final sector for Freddie Hunt. 2 purple sectors, but just lost out by 3.5 tenths on that lap. So the gap grows a fraction from 1.5 to 1.8 seconds. Torsten Kratz has rallied under the attack of Freddie Hunt. He really was under the hammer for a couple of laps. And now maybe Freddie Hunt just taking a little breather. Maybe he's just had a warning from the tyres that they need to cool down a fraction. How much is the car dependent on fresh tyre life? How much do they go away during the course of a long run?
An awful lot. Typically the peak on a new set of tyres will be 1, maybe 2 laps at best. But then they sort of reach a plateau, and you can maybe get about 10, 15 laps of consistent running until they then drop off a cliff.
10, 15 laps,
not here. Not here. Maybe about 3 laps out here. Yes.
It is something we always have to do, is to reprogram ourselves into Le Mans mode. But you're basically talking mid stints.
Yes.
Yeah. But here we go again. This time, Felipe Larza getting the toe.
And what might be difficult as well is Freddie Hunt might have just dropped back a little just to look after his tyres, because being so close up the rear of that WTM Racing Duqueine, he might just be overheating the tyres. There's a lot of aero wash, especially around here where there's high-speed corners. If he's really up close, he could be understeering and killing those tyres.
Tyres, brakes, engine temps all start to rise because that turbulent airflow from the car in front doesn't cool as well as nice laminar air coming in clear air. So yeah, you have to give yourself a breather, you have to give the car a breather. And also, of course, there is the strategy of when you come into the pits. There is a significant pit window, but you also then have to be aware, or the team have to be aware of who else might be coming in. Great battle here.
This is Jerome de Sadler. He's dealt with John Melson, who's just dropping back in the order now. He's now going by the number 14 DKR Engineering car of Alexander Buchanoff. Taking up places and was impressive. The Michelin Le Mans Cup, has he got that? The Duqueine has managed to do it, but is this going to be the cutback? I think it might well be, maybe not. Good run through the corner there from the Duqueine. Good grip indeed from the Duqueine package. Ligier has to tuck back inside. This is another change we've seen for anybody who's been watching the Road to Le Mans races down through the years. With these new versions of these cars, Duqueine coming from, of course, the Norma previously, that used to have a real straight line advantage. Not anymore. This Ligier is very quick indeed in a straight line now.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically, the Duqueine had a much bigger advantage in the straight line. However, now the Ligier seem to have bridged that gap. And having spoken to a lot of the drivers, they felt like that advantage, obviously, it's played a lot in their favour for the Ligier drivers. But it's just come down an awful lot. I mean, although both two different Duqueines took pole for each respective race, they haven't seemed, maybe not in this one, but in the first race, they weren't quite as strong as the Ligiers in terms of race pace.
Yep.
So it's really interesting to see how that gap has changed and how the different manufacturers have managed to bridge that gap.
And really important for the Michelin Le Mans Cup organisers that one car is not disadvantaged, because you want as many different chassis manufacturers able to produce a car that can run at the front of the field.
Drama for the GT race leader. It's a drive-through penalty for the 34 for not respecting the race start procedure. There's a drive-through as well for the number 66 car. That's way, way, way further down the order, but that is going to cost the WRT car dear. Second race in succession, WRT will have had a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, and their advantage over Christian Poulsen, who is second in the class, is only about 6 or 7 seconds, so that will vanish. And you cannot do your driver change at the same time, so they will also have to manage the driver change. Meanwhile, it is still hammer and tongs in LMP3.
Still making progress up the field with the Fricadelli car. The 30 car is now making more rapid progress into the top 10 now for Felipe Laza. Next target is going to be Alexander Buchanoff in that surviving DKR Engineering Duquesne in 9th place. Gap to the leader, by the way, about 23 seconds, and still Torsten Kratz and Freddie Hunt duking it out with fastest laps. It's again gone the way of the lead car, 3:49.566 now for Kratz, as side by side go, oh, that's a big wobble there.
Well, that's the hard shoulder. Those broken white lines, that's the hard shoulder of a normal public road. So no, it's not a smooth racetrack.
He's got him.
He has. He's not giving this up. And bizarrely, normally as you get further towards the front of the field, it becomes harder to pass, but the gaps are slightly larger here, and so the Fricadelli car moves up again, and that is now Felipe Laza into 9th position. Jerome de Sadelaire, his next target, and then just a little up the road, Fabien Michal in the red CD Sport with the yellow stripe in trouble.
Oh, big trouble. That's the NS Motorsport number 6 car that was in the thick of things yesterday. And that is the hands of Jonathan Brassard, and that is a big impact. Almost at the same place we saw the AMG in trouble yesterday.
Well, over that brow at Shimano-Berth, the car gets a little squirrely and light, and it's so easy to run over the brow, off camber, onto the grass, and then you get spat across into either you clatter the barriers all the way down.
He's had the same accident.
Left, or you hit that barrier there on the right-hand side.
He has hit that barrier. He's hit it almost precisely the same place we saw Charles-Henri Somani in trouble yesterday in the AMG, and that's a double yellow.
That will be a slow zone.
At very least, yes.
It will be a slow zone, and maybe for several laps. Now that means in that section, basically from the Dunlop chicane down to Arnage, it'll be 80 kilometres an hour on the limiter to allow the work to go on. The rest of the lap, have at it, lads. It will still be full green. So on a race track this long, 13 kilometres, Bailey, that gives you still plenty of racing.
Plenty of opportunities to try and overtake, plenty of opportunities to still attack at 100%. It would just be a little portion of the track where you have to stick at 80 kilometres an hour. Yep. As soon as you cross that marshal post, you have to be at 80 kilometres an hour. And then once you reach that last marshal post, it will be go away racing at 100%.
H24 car being refilled at its dedicated station.
It's interesting, isn't it, as technology moves on, how the language you use moves on. There's the Spirit of Race Ferrari rolling to a very slow halt.
That was the car that did sit in second place.
A very slow halt. A halt, Martin, you idiot.
That's
you don't have a fast halt.
This is the incident.
Do have a fast halt.
Dear me, yes, same incident, and a big impact there.
And we will see that in the 24-hour race, and especially at night when there's just that fraction less visibility over that crest where you can see the next car coming through. So easy to drift wide, and wheels on the dirt, boom, there is an accident coming your way, and that is a big hit. It is a slow zone at that section to allow the marshals to effect clear up. Good news, driver's out okay.
Brassard is out and okay, walking, well, he'll know that was game over from the impact, but oh dear, what a shame. Small error, big consequence, and how many times does that happen in motorsport, Bailey?
It happens an awful lot of times, but it's very similar to that crash we saw for the Mercedes on that Thursday. That crest, the exit curb is blind, so if you're just slightly off, if you just miss that apex curb by ever so much, it can cause you to run off in the dirt and then spit you into the wall. So it's so valuable to stay on track.
We're going to switch our guest at this point in the race. We'll have you back for the end of this race.
Change.
This has been great stuff. But there's a particular reason for me wanting to change at this point to our other guest, Simon Butler, with us yesterday, of course, the Racing Reverend. And he'll explain again for those that didn't hear.
Saturday service was Simon.
Saturday service, absolutely. But in particular, as we've got the Manitou just about to intervene, wanting to hear another parts of the kind of the racing jigsaw. This team atmosphere. Something I've done a couple of times in my career, to be part of a racing team in a reasonably big race. You're part of the RLRM Sport team here, not driving, because you're going to be taking up the driving. This is, by the way, this is good news, by the way, for the 34 car, because he's driving through at slow zone.
Yeah.
So you're part of the RLRM Sport team, and I'm sure you've been glued to the timing screens, because your mate and the guy that you'll be taking over that car from for the second half of the season has been making very good progress indeed, Martin Rich.
He has. It's really good to see. And actually, he owes me one if I call him the amazing Martin Rich.
The amazing Martin Rich.
The amazing Martin Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of Martin's strengths actually is charging through traffic, and most of his opening laps tend to involve dispatching quite a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Which
we mean that in racing terms rather than into the barrier. Yes.
Yeah. Well, usually
it's optional.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I mean, normally. No, he's very clean actually, and I think it's part of the fun, isn't it? If you're out of position, okay, it can be frustrating because you're not ultimately where you want to be. But as a gentleman driver, you get the fun of dealing with lots of cars.
So going through coming through the incident site now, that car being lifted and will shortly be clear of the track. There will need to be clear up. They'll also, I think, need attention to that barrier. What happened there?
I'm not sure, just as we cut away. 55, by the way, was
he's lost a tyre. Lost a tyre.
Yeah.
That's not the way you normally come into pit lane. But I think he lost a front left tyre at that point.
Now, he had an incident earlier, didn't he, Jens Moller, with a big lockup?
Well, was that the 55?
It's 44, that was. 55 is the leader. We just saw him going by. Christian Poulsen, LMP2 winner here at Le Mans in a Porsche.
We're getting close to
Van Merkstein Porsche.
No,
it wasn't Van Merkstein, was it? It was a Danish
Christian Poulsen. It was the Essex car.
The Essex, that's right, yeah.
Yes.
John Nielsen Essex. All right, so here's a replay of the start. Poleman Torsten Kratz holding off all comers. Got a little bit entertaining, as you might expect with a field of nearly 60 cars into the first corner.
That was the touch. It was TS Corsa got together with the Higeli car. So that's the 73 car on the 34. 13, my apologies.
And the Leipert Motorsport Lamborghini there, just avoiding danger. This is where the penalty came in.
Yeah.
For the Honda. Got himself into a hole. There was a P3 car that he couldn't then get back online because of, and we currently have a slow zone for this major impact into the barriers. Again, good news that Jonathan Brossard from ANS Motorsport out of the car healthy and in one piece. Slow zone from the Dunlop curve down to the beginning of the Mulsanne straight, but from there on in, they are racing hard at it. And here is the long queue behind the better placed of the United cars. They are now, that's Alex Lynn in the number 2 car.
It's not Alex Lynn, that's Max Lynn.
Beg your pardon, Max Lynn.
This is his brother. We should make that clear. It's his father-son effort in that car, but Alex, of course, part of the big race. Simon?
No, I was just wondering whether the duration of the race, how much that affects your mentality as a driver. If you've got a...
apologies, big trouble. Yeah, now that car, in the hands of Felipe Larza, has had a incident of some sort. There's damage front and rear to that car.
Yeah.
So just exactly what's happened to Felipe Larza, that's not good news for that car in the hands of the pro driver as everybody's coming to the pits.
Yes, well, more and more slow zones. There's going to be one at Marshall's Post 11 and at Marshall's Post 32 as well.
He's collected the end of the barrier again, hasn't he? That's what he's done. Is exactly what we saw earlier in the Ligier European Series race. He's brushed the end of the tyre barrier, ripped the banding off that, and that has damaged the car front and rear. There was definitely damage to the rear wing as well.
Definitely. And what happens there is you run out wide and over the curbs, and there's some space, and then the tyre wall comes in up to the curb. And if you don't rejoin the track in time, you run along the tyre wall. Here's the writer.
That's the WTM car. We've got 3 different incident zones out there. Apologies, Simon. We've got to.
No, we've moved
Look
on.
what you've done.
We've moved on. I wondered whether he was trying to balance out the aero damage from the
So there is a yellow zone from the Dunlop chicane down to the Mulsanne straight. There is a full yellow zone between chicane 1 and chicane 2, and there is one from the Dunlop curves to the end of the lap.
That's heavy damage for the Fricadelli car, and I think that is going to be done.
Do you think there's
Another car in trouble there.
Oh, has he hit the
That's the
debris?
17. That's the 17 car.
damage on there, isn't there?
That's his EDEC Sport car, Patrice Lafargue. Has he come round? So this is the incident we think
Yeah,
was
that's the Fricadelli car.
Big hit.
That was a big hit.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I wonder if the EDEC Sport
Oh,
car...
look how early on the tyre wall. He didn't hit the end.
He did. He caught the banding. Oh dear, poor Patrice Lafargue. He did run straight into the debris.
And it's just ripped the front of the car off, as debris tends to do. And it's broken that left suspension as well. That left front wheel is up in the air and doing nothing. So he is being craned away.
So I'm afraid LMP3 cars in trouble all the way around the circuit. There was the 44 car. We saw that with a dramatic exit from the race.
That's not Lafargue being craned away.
No, that was the 6. That was Brassard's car.
Yeah, that was Brassard.
This is the 44 car we saw in trouble coming into the Ford chicane. I think lost a front left tyre on that car.
And I wonder then, you're looking back at that incident where he got in too deep and couldn't get out of it, and I wonder whether that was all part of that happening as well.
What else are we seeing here?
Here's the incident between the chicanes.
No, that's the 66 Rinaldi car. That was the puncture for that car. So yeah, I'm afraid a lot of damaged cars out there. Doesn't help the rhythm of a race, does it?
And look at how much it's tearing the rear end of the car apart. That's why there's a slow zone between the chicanes, is to pull bits of Rinaldi racing car and tyre out of the road.
It's amazing how much energy there is there, isn't it? And how much damage it does to bodywork.
And look at the logjam. All 4 United cars in at the same time. You can't not. 2/3 of the track is under slow zone. You have to come in. Any moments you lose then, doesn't matter. Oh, there's been a change for the lead. Reuters, Mads Sillerhaug is out ahead of WTM's Leonard Weiss. So that white car is now the race leader.
It's been really interesting listening to pit radio.
Well, so a new race leader. Into the slow zone comes our race leader for Reiter. The white car started by Freddie Hunt. Mads Sillerhaug takes over. Now, this is what happened in the race yesterday, Simon, is that the 76 car came out in front, but Mads couldn't hold off the charging pack behind. So anybody who caught him and passed him yesterday is going to be going, right, here we go. But equally, he'll be more determined than ever to try and hang on, and this time convert it into a win.
Well, we've now got that position where the leading cars, in fact, everybody else has now pitted, but the leading pack have now pitted. Mads Sillerhaug, who's the less pacey driver for Reiter Engineering, as Leonard Weiss, experienced driver behind him, but behind them, but 20 seconds back, is Duncan Tappy in the 25 Cool Racing car. That's going to be one to watch. Tom Dillman, winner yesterday, just behind Duncan Tappy. That's going to be one to watch. Josh Skelton chased home Tom Dillman. That's Freddie Hunt out of the car there. He's just 5 seconds back from Tappy and Dillman. Colin Noble 2 places behind that. Jamie Winslow 2 places behind that. Absolutely brilliant stuff to come. And then finally, after not really getting an opportunity to get a race at pace yesterday, the coming star that is Malte Jakobsen, 12th place in the Cool Racing car, and he at the moment quite considerably off the lead battle, but it's going to be interesting to see how the young Dane can crack on.
A couple of days ago, had a side-on shot of young Pietro Fittipaldi in the garage, and if you put big shades and sideburns on, it was the young Emerson. Looking at Freddie Hunt, I haven't seen Freddie Hunt for 2 or 3 years. Looking at Freddie Hunt now, that's his dad.
Oh, it's astonishing.
100%. I can remember walking up with Jeremy Shaw in the pit lane a few years ago, and I saw Nico Prost in front of us, and I said, Jeremy, who's that guy? He had his back to us, and he said, I don't know. we stood there and waited, and he turned around and he went, "Oh my lord," because he was around for the young Alain Prost, and again, yeah, that's remarkable how much an animated Freddie there looked just like Lord James.
Well, looking forward to potential to coming back and doing this next year, Simon.
Yeah, can't wait. We'll get Monza and Spa out of the way first this season, and then look forward to this.
See, get Monza and Spa out of the way. We will relish Monza and Spa, you know, and that's another great element to this. It's not just good cars, it's not just good close racing, it's not just Le Mans. Of course, it is Le Mans, but yeah. You know, there's the talent of places like Monza and Spa. No, there are no Mickey Mouse go-kart tracks on the calendar.
Well, it's all iconic stuff, isn't it? It's the stuff you grew up as a child watching your heroes racing at these places, and to be on the track, on those same tracks, it's the stuff of dreams.
Safety car is now, and I'm not surprised we got multiple incident sites. This is going to be for two things. It's going to be for the clear up. There's a lot of debris out there. It's going to be for the barrier damage that we saw down at the end of the Forest S's.
And here at Arnage as well. So not one, not two, but count them, 3 safety cars here at Le Mans. It's a 13-kilometre track, so we send a safety car out, as you normally would, from the exit of pit lane. Another one joins from the chicane on the Mulsanne, and another one here at Arnage. And that's picked up the race leader. So all the gaps that were there, forget them. That means Mads Sillerhaug, Leonard Weiss, Duncan Tappy, Tom Dillman, Josh Skelton, Greg Guivert, you know, they're all there in a queue. There's the CD Sport car, there's Colin Noble, Louis Rousset. That's the lead group, and all of those will be inches apart.
So you look at the H24 car filling. Where did your, I say your car, the car that you're going to be taking over next
Your
race,
car?
43? 43rd?
43 we started.
43rd, and he's now up to 19th with Nico Pino, Chilean driver now aboard. Martin Rich, the amazing Martin Rich, I think we've got to say, the amazing Martin Rich now out of the car. And that's, by the way, it was Jens Moller just trekking past there looking very hot and bothered. That was a horrible moment for Jens Moller.
No kidding.
Came before the braking zone, so he's at full tilt before the car really got into its braking, and he did really well with that car to keep it in a straight line. He hit more or less every gravel trap on his route to a final stop.
Now behind another of our safety cars will be the GT3 lead battle. There you can see Christian Poulsen in the Honda. The yellow bonnet, that is Fabio Babini, yesterday's winner in the Ebby Motors Porsche. Team WRT right behind. They've served their penalty. They have had a driver change. Maxime Robin in third. Have they done two? Yes, they have. In third place for Team WRT. And then behind the Spirit of Race Ferrari, Hugo Delacour, Vincent Asclot in the Aston Martin. There you see it, black with the red. That's 5th place in the class. So first, second, third. Random LMP3 car, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. That is your GT3 field, and they're waiting to find a safety car somewhere.
That stricken GMB Motorsport car actually came to a halt. We've got blacked out windows in our booth, right in front of our booth. And I was looking at Jens Moller's face. That was a scary moment for him. There's no doubt at all.
Full-on Code Brown.
Absolutely right. But no, this GT3 battle is going to light up. Sorry, Simon.
Well, I mean, you're a passenger, aren't you? When you lose a tyre, really, so you just have to hope that it's going to end up somewhere good.
But now then, they seem to be picking up the pace. So what's happened now is that on Discord, the race director has gone down to the teams going, right, pick up the pace, catch the safety car, please. I think what was happening there is that our GT3 leader, Christian Poulsen, was under the impression that it was 80 kilometres an hour.
I think he might well have been.
And now they are actually at a half-decent pace. And that's good news for the cars, because they will get that airflow through the radiators, and suddenly all the temperatures won't be skyrocketing, and they will start to bring heat back into their tyres. So effectively, we've got behind one safety car all of our LMP3 lead group, and here
we're running one safety car.
We are.
There's one safety car, and just to give context here, they've got quite some way before they catch it. Safety car at the moment is just going under the Dunlop Bridge. So
these guys are going to hurry up, but it doesn't alter the fact that because of the pit stops, everybody in LMP3 is in one long nose-to-tail crocodile, and here, with just one errant LMP3 machine in, is basically all of the GT3 field as well.
And it just sets up a great finale to the race, doesn't it? When you've got the cars tightly packed.
Well, actually, what would be better for our TV director and his health is if the GT3 cars are half a lap behind the LMP3 cars, because then there's half a chance that they won't all be in one enormous battle and we might be able to show some of what's happening. People sometimes ask, what do you find to talk about for 24 hours? Look, this is only an hour and there's so much going on that we actually physically can't see it all.
Absolutely right. Through they come. Past the start-finish straight. They've not got far now to catch the train. Still watching the H24 car filling. Remember, this car, it is in the race. It is racing competitively, but this is a technology demonstrator. It's not about winning. It's about finishing. It's about putting miles on the technology. It's learning what they can about the way in which particularly heat management is going to be brought into play as they step up the ante for that technology to a point where in a very few years' time, the ACO are hoping a manufacturer will step up and try to compete for overall wins of the Le Mans 24 Hours, not long down the road. Whether or not that's going to be possible, we'll wait and see. Simon.
There's a real mental discipline for the drivers here, isn't there? When you're behind the safety car and in some of these races it's paused momentarily and you've got to somehow retain your concentration, retain your focus, all that competitive drive, but also allow yourself just a little bit of a break, just to take your breath, prepare yourself and get ready for the off again.
Absolutely right. There's your car in the middle of that pack. And not going to be troubled by that one, I'm afraid. That is not as the maker intended. And if you join us late, this is a result of Felipe Larza close behind in traffic, catching the end, or not the end, the barrier at Arnage. And unfortunately, the car we're looking at there, the EDEC Sport car, then unfortunately ran over the resulting debris. This is the H24 car ready to go. Stefan Riquelme.
And the crashes often look really spectacular. The bits of car flying off everywhere, but of course that's really, really important for dispersing the energy and taking all that energy out of the impact, throwing it miles and miles away, and protecting the driver in the safety cell.
Yeah.
So we talked about you a little earlier. We didn't explain, for the purpose of this broadcast, why you're known as the Racing Reverend, but you are a Church of England vicar.
I am a Church of England vicar, yes. I have 12 parishes in rural Hampshire.
And thank you for bringing in the robes today.
That's right, no, I'm fully clerically attired, obviously. It's quite hot.
Yeah, I think the mitre is a bit much.
Yes. They're Nomex robes, so it's all right.
Ah, there you go.
They're homologated robes.
So it's every so many years you're given time for sabbatical and you're choosing to do it with this madness, I gather.
That's true, yes. We get 3 months every 7 years. And
you would think time off for good behaviour for a victor. It's sort of a non sequitur, really, though.
Well,
isn't
you'd
it?
like to think so.
You would hope. You would
I
hope.
probably shouldn't tell too many stories.
But good to see you're here with the team, but you're here with the family as well.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it is so nice to see fans back, families back in particular, and with your pastoral head on. In terms of just the overall population's mental health, actually being able to come back and do these things, how big a deal is that?
It's important, isn't it? I mean, getting back to something like normal life and being able to do things that bring you joy is the key thing, isn't it? You know, life should have space for joy and space for fun and enjoyment. And that was a great difficulty the last couple of years. I think all those things we found life and energy from suddenly were on hold. And true, we found other ways to find life and energy, but it's good to come back, isn't it?
It is indeed.
It's good to come back.
There will be those, because the world is full of critics. Social media's done that to us, thank you very much, tech billionaires, that will say maybe there's a bit of a disconnect between pastoral life and competitive life.
Yeah, it's a funny one to say. I get where that comes from, because they're just two things that don't obviously sit alongside each other. But I think as a vicar, I'm me as a vicar and I'm me as a racing driver. So I hope there's a sense of authenticity. You know, I'm the same person at the racetrack as I am when I'm in my parish. And who I am as a vicar, and I guess who I am as a Christian, transcends both those bases. You know, it's kind of authentic. It's the same.
Yeah. I guess the further question is, are you too nice a guy in traffic? Are people going to see a difference in the way that you would deal with them? Or are you able to get those vicarly elbows out?
Do you know, I'm ruthlessly competitive. I love winning. I love winning stuff. So no, there's no holds barred. I'll be out there and and yeah, I'll race hard.
Go with God, my friend. Go with God.
Maybe the question is, am I a nice enough vicar? Maybe I'm not a nice enough vicar.
So evil vicar there, Simon Butland.
Simon the sweary vicar. Have you off soon as look at you?
I do an online poll of my parishioners. No, don't.
Yeah.
And again, it's rural Hampshire.
Rural Hampshire, yeah, northeast Hampshire.
Good stuff. What a beautiful part of the world that is.
Oh, it's gorgeous, gorgeous.
Absolutely.
And so handy for Goodwood. Not that has any influence, no whatsoever. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So, still under safety car then, and the queues. Yeah, we have crossed the streams, so everybody is together. And it does look, from what we've seen being craned away, as though we might be going green.
Just a bit concerned about whether or not the safety car lights are still on, whether or not it's barrier repairs them now that might be the issue. Let's just go through the running order as we come into the final 15 minutes of this race. It is the number 76, Writer Engineering, Ligier, that leads the race with Mats Haug ahead of Leonard Weiss in the WTM Racing number 11 Duquesne. Cool Racing with Duncan Tappy, the number 25 Ligier, is third place with Tom Dillman right behind in the Racing Spirit of Le Mans number 10. The second Racing Spirit of Le Mans car, the number 43 car, rounds out the top 5 in the hands of Josh Gibson. And in the train behind them, a number of big names: Colin Noble, James Winslow, Malte Jakobsen, Wayne Boyd, all there. And of course, behind the safety car, gaps that were very significant are now not so. This is going to be one hell of a finish. Apologies for the word hell there, Simon. In 26th place and leading GT3, we've got the 55 GMB Motorsports Honda in the hands of Casper Jensen. Fabio Babini is filling his mirrors in the 46 EB Motors Porsche. And then with one of the Inter-Europol Ligier, then third place Team WRT Audi. Third place after that drive-through penalty for the previous race leader.
Just saw a shot in the garage a moment or two ago of the Yas Motorsport boss. Yas, of course, responsible for Honda's racing in Europe. And at the moment, they have the lead of this race. They are going to be really under the cosh, though. Christian Poulsen started the 55 car, Casper Jensen with Fabio Babini behind him, and then Maxime Robin for Team WRT in the Audi. And that is the queue. At the front of the field, Writer Engineering, and these guys looking for some redemption. And the longer the race goes on, Simon, the more Mats Haug is leading, the more the clock runs down. However, everybody who was like in third place there, Duncan Tappy, was 10 seconds back, is now going to be in the other mirror. When we go green, he'll have a car in either mirror. And that's a really tough place to be in for the race leader.
Yeah, you're kind of assaulted from every direction, aren't you? I mean, let's just hope that whatever they need to do, they can do, so that we don't finish the race under safety cars.
Well, they've got 1 lap to do it. It's an 8-minute lap on the safety car. So if we don't get rid of the safety car on this lap, we may be done.
Yeah. There are going to be a few lobsters later on this afternoon.
Aren't
it is a bright, sunny day. But, I mean, I'm not genuinely, who cares? But so good to see the grandstands already full of fans. It's midday. I'm sure there'll be a few beers already cracked open. Lots of baguettes being demolished. Again, Grand Frite, by the way, that is a full meal in itself. Don't think they're going to do you short here. They're so glad to have the fans back. I think everybody's being over-generous.
Drivers' Parade yesterday in town. What a delight to see that back in its full glory. Bumped into Martin Rich, your friend and teammate, Simon, you and your lovely family as well. I'm sure everybody had an absolutely fabulous time.
That's brilliant. My girls have loved it. It's the first really big race event they've come to, and our youngest is only 7. We took her into town, and all she wanted to do was come back to the track. Everything was boring unless it was at the race circuit.
Yeah. Well, ironically, I first came to Le Mans with my son when he was 7 years old. He'll be watching at home now. I'm absolutely certain, loving it. He's been back here with his friends. He's now significantly older than 7. Damn him. But and apologies again.
So we'll do absolution.
But
for his penance, Graham will make you a cup of tea and give you a chocky bicky.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. And 2 Hail Marys.
We're going to get into the last 10 minutes of this race behind the safety car, and as we get to that point, we're going to swap over our guests again, and we'll have Bailey Voisin with Martin Knight to the end of this race. Just want to say, Simon, good luck for what comes next in this adventure, I think we'll call it, and I've zero doubt it's going to be successful. RLRM Sport produce a fantastic car, happy customers. The amazing Martin Rich is just one of them. That's 3 drinks he now owes you.
Yeah, well,
but it's been a delight having you here for both of these races. And we're going to take the next cue point at the moment where we're going to just swap back for, but the next voice you'll hear from the middle one is going to be Bailey Voisin.
Apologies to Giancarlo Bruno, the one of the head engineers at Yas Motorsport. It was not team boss Alessandro Mariani. It was Giancarlo Bruno, who was for many years Gabriele Tarquini's race engineer at Yas through all of their various iterations and all the very many times that the great Italian raced for his compatriots. Yas Engineering running, developing this Honda stroke Acura NSX GT3 car, and again as yesterday in the running for the podium and leading the race, as is the white number 76 car. Just to come back to where we are, we're inside the final 10 minutes of this race. Safety car's been out for a couple of laps already. We do need the lights on the safety car to go off as they exit Arnage. No, well, we may... Okay, lights off now. Lights are out on the safety car. So Bailey Voisin,
no, they're not.
No,
No, they're
from
not.
above it looks like it. We were hoping that we will get at least 1 lap. I think we might get 1 lap out of this. But this is a tough time for the drivers. I mean, you particularly look at Mads Sillerhaug, the race leader. He came out of the pits in the first race in the lead, as he has here, after storming start from Freddie Hunt, but he's now got not 1, not 2, but everyone behind him, and because the safety car right behind him. So this is going to be a tough battle.
It's going to be really difficult, and Freddie Hunt did a fantastic job in his stint to be able to get up towards that and towards the front of the pack and hand over to Mads. Now, you know, Mads had a brilliant outlap, tried to have a bit of a gap, but then the safety car came out. So unfortunately, this bunched the entire field up. And as you said,
Safety car in this lap. Safety car in this lap.
Yeah, it's going to be a 2-lap dash for the cash. Not that there is a lot of cash, but it will be a 2-lapper. But and you know, and he's got lots of pro drivers behind him. He's got Leonard Weiss, who we know is quick, and then he's got real pros, Duncan Tappy, Tom Dillman, next up Josh Skelton, another young man. And don't forget the cars that are currently in 4th and 5th, the Racing Spirit of Le Mans cars. They finished 1-2 in the first race here, Graham.
Well, prepare for action. They're coming down now out of the Porsche curves, down towards the Ford chicane. The crowd will be craning their view to their right as the cars appear into the Ford chicane. Power will go back in, and away we go.
Back to green flag racing here in the second Road to Le Mans race at the Le Mans 24 Hours. And Mads Sillerhaug, as yesterday, after the pit stops, leading in the 76 Reiter engineering car. Because of the safety car, everybody behind, 3 wide behind, going into the Dunlop curve for the first time for about 7th or 8th or 9th. But right behind the leader, Leonard Weiss, the red and white car that started on pole. Duncan Tappy 3rd for Cool Racing. And then behind him, the 2 identically liveried cars of Tom Dillman and Josh Skelton. So he's done what he wanted to do, Bailey Voisin, which is jump away Mads Sillerhaug. And actually, he's made a really good fist of it. Leonard Weiss hasn't gone with him, but Leonard also ahead of the Cool Racing car in 3rd. Duncan Tappy with a company from behind. There is Freddie Hunt, the man who brought that car into the pits as the leader, and he'll be watching with bated breath. 6 minutes, well, it's going to be 2 laps to try and get this sorted out. And further back, long way further back, coming into shot now, our GT3 Battle. The Honda remains ahead of the Porsche, but all bets are off.
They're moving the outside rather into the first chicane and looking to get up into the top 10. Melter Jacobsen already came up from 12th to 11th, looking to make further progress and trouble there through the chicane from the MV2S car.
Pit stop penalties. It's not going to be 1-2 for Racing Spirit of Le Mans because Josh Skelton will have a 1 second stop and go to serve, which will be an equivalent of 45 seconds lost. So too for the second placed Honda, or second of the Hondas, but there's the change for the lead, and from third, Duncan Tappy. I have to say, my money is on him or Tom Dillman for this one because they are the quick pedalers.
Great stuff there from Duncan Tappy in the second
Dillman
phase
runs
of
out very wide, comes around Leonard Kratz from the hard shoulder to the central reservation.
Makes it third. It's further drive-through penalties, cars 19 and 44 for speeding in pit lane. We'll get to them later.
Yeah, that's
but this is about what it's all about. Another hunting pack of cars here behind as well. Jacobsen looking to make his way further up the top 10. This, though, is the battle for second position now. Duncan Tappy is in clean air, pulling away.
Yep.
The 14 car clatters across the gravel trap. It is Tappy, Silhaug, Dillman, Skelton, Weiss, Giver, Winslow, Rousset, Noble, Jacobsen. That is the top 10. It will not finish in that order.
No, but Tappy, every second now that he is building an advantage over the second place white car Mad Silhaug is a bigger lifeline ahead of the man who's in third, Tom Dillman. Dillman came through to win it on Thursday. Lead a team 1-2 ahead of Josh Skelton, but Skelton with that drive-through penalty won't be a feature of the lead group. So Torsten Kratz behind, Leonard Weiss rather, the red and white car trying to go through. Change the place.
That's Jacobsen having 2 places. He's gone ahead of Colin Noble. He's gone ahead as well of Rousset.
In the green and white, yeah.
He started this when we went back to green 12th. He's already up to 8th, and he is hunting.
Yeah. He will be coming hard and fast, and the gaps are opening up behind his safety car. CD Sport car of Gregory Giver with James Winslow all over the back of the red and yellow car into the Porsche curves.
It's a position made up by Colin Noble as well.
Yep.
In GT, as we're watching this, by the way, Team WRT IMD back up into second place ahead of Fabio Babini as he went back to green.
So Maxime Robert, I think that was probably the exit of Mulsanne corner. You can see they were all 3 or 4 cars in GT3 right at the back of the shot, were all over the road. 3 minutes 48 remaining, and a fast lap here.
Jacobsen again up the inside. Has he made that?
Yes,
he has.
He does. Might have been just a little bit of intimidatory easing out of James Winslow in the DKR car with the yellow, the orange highlights, but Malte Jacobsen moves up, and across the line he will come in 6th place.
And 6th place because the 43 car, Josh Skelton, has taken that drive-through penalty.
Yeah, he didn't have any choice.
How much further can the young Dane get? Next job is CD Sports' Gregor Givier. He's just dropping back a little off Leonard Weiss. 1
lap to go. Duncan Tappy with the fastest race lap, and that includes passing Mag Silhaug away from the restart. 3:49.29. Tappy now has a tiny advantage, but he is trying to ease away from Silhaug, who is still in second place. Tom Dillman in third with the blue highlights, then the white car with the red highlights. Leonard Weiss still in 4th.
So Mikey Benham and Duncan Tappy already have a win in a Road to Le Mans race. That time, though, with a very different team. Could they double up here with Cool Racing?
Side-by-side battles. That was Andy Merrick. And was that Alex Capadia? And here is the
3rd place battle.
Aston Porsche battle. The Bullet Aston. Valentin Asclo goes by. He spent a lot of time racing in GT3.
And GT4. And Valentin Herzekler, the previous Aston Martin MR Academy winner, goes through and takes 3rd position. Battles everywhere here.
Yeah.
Tappy, Silhaug, Dillman, Weiss, Jacobsen now up into 5th place. He's gone by Gregory Givier. What's the next target for the remarkable young Dane? He's got 3 seconds to find to Leonard Weiss, and I wouldn't put it past him.
In the GT3 field, Kasper Jensen leading for GMB Motorsport by a quarter second.
There he goes. This is the lead battle. WRT, Audi, GMB, Honda. Who's going to get the line through here? The Honda gets it, but it's so close.
It's a 2-lap race here at Le Mans. It could be higher pressure. It could have been a 1-lap race, but we got a 2nd lap. And here we go. The Honda still has a slender lead, but of course he's giving away a toe all the way down the straight, and the Audi driver, Maxime Robin, who started yesterday's race in fine form, again pulls out of the toe, but again trying to go the long way round.
Honda's going to tough it through, but the Aston is catching this pair, you know, and catching them rapidly. Contact, by the way, we saw that with Malte Jakobsen and Jamie Winslow through the Ford chicane, is under investigation. We'll deal with that later. Jakobsen has closed the gap by a further half a second to the fourth place car.
Now that might be a typo. It says contact between 69, which is Malte Jakobsen,
it was 14,
and
wasn't it?
40, which is further back. That's Graf Racing's Theo Voucher. Now that might have been earlier on that we didn't see, maybe away from the restart, but there was contact also with 14, James Winslow. In French, in race control, 40, and yeah, they're close.
Tom Dillman all over Mats Seelhaug as they're coming towards the end of this lap and this race. Duncan Tappy seems to have it all under control, but the number 10 car, second place, still a possibility here for Racing Spirit Le Mans. It was a win yesterday for the 10. It's going to be, by the look of things, another podium finish. Don't think he's close enough to do this, you know.
Well, this is great redemption from Mats Seelhaug, because he led after the pit stops yesterday. Did not get onto the podium, but he will here. Duncan Tappy's going to win it. Cannot get away from the Reiter car. That's your podium. Duncan Tappy wins for Cool. Mats Seelhaug second for Reiter. Racing Spirit Le Mans yesterday, Thursday's winner, Tom Dillman, takes third. Across the line ahead of Malte Jakobsen in WTM in fourth. Malte Jakobsen fifth. Gregory Guivert ahead of James Winslow, 6th, 7th, everybody flooding across the line. Here's our GT3 battle coming out of the final corner any second now.
Who's going to come through? It's the Honda. The Honda takes it.
The Honda's going to win it from the Audi. Casper Jensen, Maxime Robin, Valentin Asclo. That is your 1, 2, 3. Mikey Benham looking very happy there in the Cool Racing enclave. Wow. Everybody hates safety cars because they sort of ruin races and they cram everything up, but boy, oh boy, it got entertaining there in the last couple of laps, Bailey.
It certainly did, and it was great. It was great to be able to bunch up the field again and just provide that quality racing for those last 2 laps. It certainly would have made the drivers' lives a bit more difficult, especially if you're in that mid-pack. You're having to attack as well as defend at the same time. It's a lot going on. You're a lot closer to everybody else. But yeah, what splendid racing.
So Duncan Tappy and Mikey Benham, they won here some years ago for Lannon Racing, a team now with the retirement from that team of Graham Johnson that is no longer with us, but they're going to put in a second win here. They get to take the accolades from the podium on race day with this massive, massive crowd. And this year, maybe we might get the right national anthem for them, because I'm afraid when they appeared last time, I think it was Rule Britannia that was played, not our national anthem, race organisers.
Well, let's see if they get the official orchestral version of God Save the Queen or the Sex Pistols Silver Jubilee 1977 version.
Let's hope the latter.
I think the boys will absolutely rock it out to that.
Great stuff from the Cool Racing squad. Mikey Benham setting it up nicely for Duncan Tappy to have the attack at the very end of that race.
And also for Reiter, you know, they saw themselves just shuffled out of a podium finish yesterday, but for that team, relatively new still to Le Mans Series racing.
This year.
Yeah, it's... You know, they're a couple of races in, and now the big one. I mean, the big one, because this is the one everybody wants. They're on the podium. And for Mads, great boost to his confidence that he was able to hang on, and Duncan Tappy didn't get away. And for the Hondas, well, they sort of conspired not to win it yesterday. They have managed to do so today. Christian Poulsen started. Casper Jensen finished the job for GMB Motorsport. Yeah. And the Yas Motorsport engineers that have run this program for the last 3 or 4 seasons now, they will be very pleased indeed with that. That's possibly the biggest win for an NSX in years.
Absolutely, but in particular, this will be a big boost, I'm sure, sent with love from the team to their boss, Casper Elgaard, back at home. That is a very, very happy Mikey Benham. Happy Mikey Benham is much nicer than unhappy Mikey Benham.
Well, he didn't have a crash landing in this one either, so he's always a happy boy. Maxime Robin there for Team WRT. Again, you know, if if you see, say, WRT that's not immediately followed by Audi, you know there's a very strange parallel universe going on. Now they're doing that in LMP2. They won here in LMP2 a year ago. Let's see if they have a similarly successful P2 race this time out. And there is 176 members of the 900-strong United Autosport team that is here this weekend.
Traditional correction for you here, which is 5 United Autosports cars in this race.
Right, just 5.
That's a very happy Tappy.
Happy Tappy. Happy Mikey, happy Tappy.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Mikey Benham with the UK and Swiss flags. UK national, lives with his family in Switzerland and makes his way to the most famous podium in motorsport.
And Cool Racing, what a strong organisation that is. You know, they have grown and grown over the last 2 or 3 seasons, haven't they? And, you know, that's impressive considering how difficult the last couple of years have been in terms of the global pandemic and lockdown and people not working together. It's been a strange I mean, what a weird time to sort of be trying to climb the motorsport ladder when you're never sure if there's actually going to be a ladder this year to go up to the next rung on, Bailey.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very strange. I mean, don't get me wrong, we were extremely fortunate to be able to carry on racing during a global pandemic, but it was rather strange to be racing and come to these tracks where there were no fans.
Yeah.
The fans fuel the racetrack and give so much atmosphere, but there just wasn't anyone. It was a ghost town. But you know, it was fantastic that a lot of us were still be able to carry on, and we're just getting out of it now.
I'm just having a quick look over at young Bailey. I'm just checking just how sharp his elbows are before asking the question. You fancy a go at this next year?
Absolutely, I'd love a go at this. It'd be, you know, a dream come true to do some laps around Le Mans, and you know, it's a fantastic championship to be able to race in. And being the same car as I race in at the moment, you know, it would be great to hop into this championship. And yeah, I'd love a go.
Great
yeah,
stuff.
I don't think you can ask anybody who's ever worn a racing helmet, would you fancy a go in this, for them to ever say no. Well, I don't know, maybe Ann Davison doesn't fancy racing in LMP3 anymore, but then he's been a world champion. Anybody else, I mean, you know, wherever you start at some stage in your career, and I wonder if we'll see it from like the likes of Lewis Hamilton, as we did from Fernando Alonso, when Lewis finally decides that 14 world championships or wherever the mark ends is enough, will he start to look at other challenges? I mean, he is a racing fan. It's not for nothing that his helmet colours are echoing his great hero, Ayrton Senna. But, you know, would he? I mean, how many of the current field of Formula One drivers might we see here over the years? It's always been traditionally where you continue your career and suddenly become aware of a whole different group of challenges, Le Mans and Indy, that the greats whose footsteps you follow in have all conquered.
We've got a massive transition underway already for the hypercar class, and I'm sure young pro drivers like Bailey are looking there and thinking, what do I have to do to get there?
That's where you aspire, isn't it? You know, to be on the top step of Le Mans on Sunday afternoon.
Absolutely right. And, well, you can describe to us, you've been on some significant podiums already, big race wins in GT4, with a man who is in this race today.
Yes.
Charlie Fagg is part of the D-Station Racing. Have you chatted to Charlie about his experiences so far?
I have, and in fact, he's given me a little garage tour as well, which was lovely. It was really interesting to have a quick look at his car. You know, it was great to be teammates with him last year, and he taught me an awful lot. And we've gone our separate ways for this year. I've stepped up into the LMP3 category, and he's stepped up into the World Endurance Championship. But yeah, it's brilliant. This
is the overall classification. The winner of the race, 25 Cool Racing, with Mikey Benham and Duncan Tappy, just half a second ahead of the 76 Writer Engineering car, started by Freddie Hunt and finished by Mads Sillerhaug. Racing Spirit Le Mans can't quite make it to the top step today. Tom Dillman brings home the car in third place. Behind them, after that late safety car, a packed field. W10 Racing, Cool Racing's number 69 with Malte Jakobsen, CD Sport, DCar Engineering, the two Nielsen Racing cars, and the number 10 of Team Virage in the 72 car. Matthias Poulet brings that car home. And in GT3, it will be the 55 GMB Motorsport crew that take the top step from the 34 Team WRT Audi and the 99 Bullet Racing Aston Martin. The innovative racing class 24 car did make it home, some laps down. That's what it's all about. The 24 car H24 Racing did finish this race.
And the interesting thing there is GT3, the podium, we've got a Honda,
Yep.
no GTE program, an Audi, no GTE program, and an Aston Martin, which we are familiar with seeing. But also in the field, we had Mercedes, we had Porsche, there are GT3 cars from Ferrari, there are GT3 cars from Lamborghini, and a whole host of others who don't get to race here in GT, and that will become part of the future of Le Mans. And that too will ensure that we are heading into a real golden age of Le Mans racing.
So race 2 of the Road to Le Mans, the Michelin Le Mans Cup's traditional annual visit to Le Mans, comes with a packed crowd. Away they went. The start of 55 minutes of motoring mayhem with a packed field of LMP3 cars backed up by a high-quality cabal of GT3s. Turn 1, Turn 2, Turn 3 is always a place where we look for action, perhaps of the unfortunate kind. It was neat and tidy for the most part, with Freddie Hunt just hopping over the curbs. There'd be dramas of the fortunate sort for the Writer Engineering car later in the race. The field streaming through and under the fabled Dunlop Bridge, heading out into the public road sections of the Circuit de la Sarthe. Early action of the unfortunate kind between TS Corsa and T2 Racing by Hegeli. That would put the yellow and red car out or further down the field. Trouble too for the 57 Graf Racing team. That car grinding to a halt at the first chicane, and then contact between the DKR car and the 44, number 3 car, and the number 44 Honda. There'll be further dramas later for Jens Moller in the GMB car. Then puncture for the 66 car from Rinaldi Racing, and then a big shunt for ANS Motorsport. Jonathan Broussard having an identical incident that we saw in the first race, and mercifully able to just step out of the car. We can be thankful for modern safety standards, as we can here, because this was the drama for Jens Moller as he braked coming into the Ford chicane. Managed to keep that thing in a straight line with a front left puncture, and a very scary moment. Multiple incidents meant the safety car came out, and we just got 2 laps left. Duncan Tappy early on the power and taking the lead with a double undertake as he approached the second chicane on the Mulsanne. And was able then, with the battles behind, just to consolidate that lead as Mats Sillerhaug fended off the attack from the W10 racing car of Leonard Weitz. And up the inside, Tom Dillman at this point looked as if he might make it a battle for the win. It didn't work out that way. RLRM Sports and United Autosports coming together, the 53 car of Nico Pino. But that car would rejoin and finish. But Duncan Tappy would come through under pressure to take a fine win, a second win for the pairing of Mikey Benham and Duncan Tappy at the Road to Le Mans after a win some years ago with Lannon Racing. This time it's the Swiss team, Cool Racing, and a very happy team and a very happy teammate. Troubles to the 44 didn't prevent the 55 GMB Motorsport car, Casper Jensen, bringing that car home in a tight battle with the Team WRT Audi. Had to serve a drive-through penalty. Valentin Haase-Klot making it a tight fit with 1, 2, 3. The Bullet Racing Aston Martin coming through to complete the podium. But a very happy Cool Racing crew. None happier than Duncan Tappy and Mikey Benham. They make a potent LMP3 combination, and they will get to stand on the most famous podium in motorsports.
The safety car is often derided as a tool that ruins races, but in actual fact, I don't think that really germanely changed the results too much. It just meant that the last lap dash for the Cash Bailey was very heart in mouth for quite a few drivers, I think.
It just meant that the last 2 laps were a sprint for that race, and it definitely made it very entertaining for all the viewers out there. And it certainly produced some great racing, which I thoroughly enjoyed, that's for sure.
And the fans trackside as well will have loved that, a massive pack of cars hard at it in the dying stages.
Yes, absolutely, and it didn't mean that there was only 1 or 2 cars that were there for the lead. It meant that there was a whole bunch of them that could have potentially won.
Pick up for the moment, by the way, to Mats Sillerhaug. That is not an easy thing to fend off Tom Dillman.
Yep.
Tom Dillman has raced here in LMP1. And Tom is he's an excellent race driver.
Yep.
And for Mats Sillerhaug to fend him off for second position in that race, that's a huge result for him and a huge result for Reiter Engineering
And the other
in their
thing
very
is,
first year in P3.
And the other thing is, in 2 hot laps, Duncan Tappy got exactly half a second away from him. And he'd done more than that at the restart.
Yep.
So actually, not only did Mads hold off Tom Dillman, he actually managed to not cling on to, but close up on Duncan Tappy on the way to the line.
We talk when we have race drivers in the booth to talk about these things, about the motivations and the psychology of this. In a developing career, just getting that result, error-free, fending off a guy that you know people expect to get by you, that must be something that carries you through and unlocks something more.
Absolutely, and even just having someone that you know is extremely quick and extremely well experienced behind you in your mirrors can sort of, you know, it does make you feel a bit nervous, and you know, you want to be able to perform, and getting that result is so important, and being able to beat someone that has got a proven track record is so important for those potential teams looking for future drivers, for those manufacturers looking for future drivers. It is so important for them.
So Freddie Hunt will be on the podium at Le Mans, as you say. It's a place his father never raced. So, talking to Pietro Fittipaldi about this, the Fittipaldi family, a fantastic history, but not at Le Mans.
Yeah.
The Hunt family, a fantastic history, but not at Le Mans. Is it great to see a second generation, or in the case of Fittipaldi's, even a third generation racer, coming through and doing something that adds to that family history?
Well, and the same with Nelson Piquet Jr. No, his dad never raced here. He did, and so on.
He
did he?
McLaren.
Oh, he did, yes. Oh, blimey, that's a while ago. That might have been one of the lost years.
96.
I
remember him tweaking my son's ear.
I wonder who won in '96?
That was the TWR.
That was the first year of the TWRs. And what was the driver lineup?
That was the one with Davy Jones in it. Manuel
That might have been one that I wasn't here with, or one that I was with corporate guests, which tends to be a bit of a lost year as well. my first was 1983, that much I can remember, and then there were quite a lot in between. But there have been a couple that slipped off the radar.
Bailey's just trying to comprehend when 1983 actually was, because it's so long ago.
Ask your father. He was probably in short trousers at that stage, as we all are now. It is very much warming up. 20 degrees of air temperature earlier on. It'll be 25 degrees now. Track temperature will be knocking on 40, if not higher. And there's only another 4 hours, 3.5 hours until we start the race. So by the time the race starts, are you going to be mingling with the great and the good, getting your moment on the grid there?
Oh, I'm certainly going to watch the start, and you know.
Can you get on the grid? Have you got access?
I'm not entirely sure.
Well, okay. So, okay, microphone's off. What you do is you stride out in your team shirt with all the other guys in United stuff. Absolutely, you deserve to be there. Somebody has to challenge you and throw you off.
Yeah.
But I mean, going there and being on the grid and being on the start, drivers always talk about muscle memory and like visualizing it. You won't be visualizing it. You'll be there experiencing it, and that is going to make you even more hungry to come back. You need to get there. You need to be ready. You need to be going, right, 2 years from now, 1 year from now.
Oh, look at the Matras. The Matras. Listen to the Matras.
Now,
fabulousness.
Sam Haven, I was talking about Matra Simca and so on when we saw a couple of road cars in town earlier on. I was saying that they were lauded for their glorious V12 engines, not only as a Formula One power unit, but also as a Le Mans winning power unit. Orin Pescarolo, Graham Hill among those who won Le Mans with Matra.
It's the anniversary this week, 50 years ago, of Graham Hill taking the world's only triple crown, and
Yep.
it happened in one of those cars.
Yep.
We shouldn't forget that. We've had other drivers try, Fernando Alonso amongst them. Juan Pablo Montoya has been close as well. It's 50 years ago this year. That's a major anniversary of an unbelievable achievement in motorsport, with a win, in fact 5 wins for Graham Hill at the Monaco Grand Prix, a win, of course, at the Indianapolis 500, and a win at the Le Mans 24 Hours, the true Triple Crown. Forget what other people tell you.
Yes, there's all sorts of other bartering. Yeah, what about Formula One World Championships? Yeah, he won that as well.
Yeah.
You know, yes, it is still, and they are the 3 races, and we've talked about this before. Talked about which Aston, if you walk in any street in any city, almost in any country, and ask somebody at random about motor racing. Can you name any motor race?
Yeah.
They will come up with one of 3,
Yeah.
at least.
Completely correct.
Monaco Grand Prix, Indy 500, Le Mans. They may not even have seen them in the same way they may never have seen Wimbledon, but that will be one of the tennis tournaments that they can name.
Completely correct.
So it is... Yeah, it has always, we are a year away from the centenary of this event, from 1923.
Packed car parks, packed campsites, great to have them back. About to say, with Bailey here, one of the things I always say when we talk to drivers coming here for the first time about the experiences they have to soak up is walking out on race morning towards that grid in your driver's suits and walking into that amphitheatre of passion. There's a start-finish straight here. And by the way, stick with us, because you're about to see pretty shortly 2 of the happiest men in motorsport this morning. Trust me, Mikey Benham, he does try to keep his light under a bushel, but he sometimes can't hide the fact that he's very, very happy when he wins a race.
I
do love that.
I think it'll be 12 of the happiest men. In fact, for the 60, 70, 18 of the happiest men. 2 drivers from each of our top 3 crews, 15, and an engineer from the winning team. So, yeah, and it is a fantastic podium on which to stand. Now, okay, in the support races, it'll be a little bit like winning the overall race for the last couple of years. Nobody in that sea of humanity down below you, but the crowds are there, and
they'll be welcomed in full voice by this crowd.
In that little room to the left-hand side of the podium railings, that's
the happy room.
That is happy and disappointment. I was there when Alan McNish won in 98. And that crew was jubilant. On the end of a sofa, facing the wall, Bob Wallach was sobbing his heart out, because he knew that was probably his last
chance,
real chance to win Le Mans. And it is that, and they were on the podium, but it's exultation and heartbreak at the same time.
Good to see Alan McNish back. He's changed a bit though, the shaven head.
Well, good to see that he's keeping himself in shape.
He's doing well. He's been in the gym.
Absolutely. So we're looking for the podium as well. For fans who are listening to us on the ACO app around the circuit, do enjoy those matches, and just, take your headphones off and take a moment to just get a little bit of late life tinnitus.
No matter what music you're listening to, it's not as good as that. It's that Matra V12 is just gorgeous. It's just one of the most astonishing noises in motorsport. The fact that it's not just sonorous but successful just somehow makes it even better. And we were saying this earlier in the broadcast, did spot Henri Pescarolo at the Drivers' Parade yesterday. It's so nice to see. I think the man on this planet that has the longest unbroken link in a senior position with any single sporting event, taking part as a driver through the late 60s and into the 1990s, then as a team owner and a constructor, missed 1 year, and then thanks to Jacques Nicolet and his friends, back again before the journey ended, and it's good to see him still in good health.
And for those that don't know the story, he started Le Mans 33 times in 34 years as a driver. The one race he missed was because he was badly burned in a Formula One accident and was not fit to start. That was late 60s.
He raced once. It was the second year. So he had, of those 33
starts.
So 32 of them were
consecutive. Then, yes, he came here with his own team. He came here, as you say, as a constructor. And the Jacques Nicolet story, again, for those that don't know, that Pescarolo effectively went bust. And Jacques Nicolet, a local racing enthusiast, bought it lock, stock and barrel.
With his friend.
And handed the keys to Henri. And there you go. you're back in business.
Completely right. I heard that story late in the evening back at home. I think I was actually in the middle of doing a podcast with John Hindop when we heard that story.
Right.
And I will tell you, it brought me to tears.
Yeah.
That's the most extraordinary thing in motorsport. And Jack Nicolay and his family, in my mind, for that and that alone, can do absolutely no wrong. An absolutely amazing gesture.
And Nicolay not only running his own team and his own business as a constructor with Oak Racing, but now owns Ligier as well and is building race cars for Ligier. So here is our podium.
This is the Lmp3 Podium, and third place for the number 10 crew, Tom Dillman, on the podium there with Alexander Matschel, Freddie Hunt and Matt Sillerhaug will take the second place on the podium. Excellent result for them. But on the top step of the podium, it will be Mikey Benham and Duncan Tappy. He doesn't look happy at all, does he?
Yeah. Mikey Benham, so hard to read, isn't he? So hard to tell what's going on.
And great stuff from that crew.
He makes Tigger look restrained when he's a happy man. And here is our winner's anthem.
L'hymne de la Suisse, sorry for this short version of the Helvetic national anthem. Michael Benham, Duncan Tappy sont les vainqueurs. Julien Vial.
Well, there you are, as Bruno von der Stick said, because Cool Racing is the winning team.
Yeah, I missed that one, didn't I?
Winning anthem.
Yeah, but the Mikey Benham, twice the podium, never heard his national anthem.
Well, he's heard half his national. He's heard the national anthem of the country in which he resides.
That's a great result, and two very deserving winners there.
And for Reiter as well. First time ever for the team at Le Mans, first time ever here. Not first time for Freddie Hunt.
Yes, I believe it is. Oh, no, he was. He was. He did Road to Le Mans a couple of years ago. He did. He did a one-off.
But Freddie Hunt on the podium in second place with Matt Sillerhaug. And Gérard Larousse, the legendary French racer, Le Mans winner and constructor, 2 times a Le Mans winner, as well as running and engineering Formula 1 teams for many, many years, including his own Larousse Formula 1 team. He's our guest of honour, our Grand Marshal. He presented the trophies to our winners.
To come, the Gt3 Podium ceremony.
Bruno's trying to hurry them out, and the photographers are going, no, we need another shot.
Champagne.
Are they getting busy with the fizzy?
Pierre Fillon, le président de la CO, va se retrouver avec Henri Pescarolo et
The spell of success.
Yeah.
Vous allez les entendre. Profitez de ces instants parce que ça a été magique.
Now, we're very sorry, Mrs. Benham. He is not going to shut up about today for quite some time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and rightly so.
Correctly so. Mikey Benham, another of the joyful members of sports car racing paddocks worldwide. It is one of the things I love about my sport. It is the passion that fuels it, and that follows through when it goes badly and when it goes extremely well.
And we talk about this lots and lots of times. You know, you look at any shot in the paddock, any shot in the pit lane, any shot of the crowd, hundreds of different nationalities and languages and backgrounds, and one common thread. They love this stuff.
They love this stuff.
This is their passion. And you, Bailey, and me, and Graham, and everybody else you'll hear on air, whether they're guests or presenters or pit lane or whatever, and all the people in the truck and all of the TV crew, like everybody else, we're only here for one reason. The money. Because we love this stuff. Well, as we always say, and never more than for a driver, we're doing this for the love, because there sure ain't no money.
Yep, there you go. It was great to see, by the way, the biggest reception for that podium ceremony wasn't for the winners. That got a good reception. It was when the crew member successfully caught the second bottle of champagne.
Dropping a Magnum on your toe, or worse, on the ground, is definitely a sackable offence. That's at least a written warning.
There you go.
Off the lads.
Packed as we wind down from the road to Le Mans and wind up for the main event. We're with you for the next couple of minutes as we have the GT3 podium, of course, with GMB Motorsport Team WRT and Bullet Racing about to take the accolades. And here they come.
And we're going to have to let Bailey go as well, because there's only an hour and 45 minutes to blag his way onto the grid. So he's going to have to start getting dressed and getting prepped, and some sunscreen as well, I think, for today.
So Stephen Patrick and Valentin Hazeklot, the Robin brothers for WRT, Christian Poulsen and Casper Jensen in what will be, I'm sure, an emotional moment for
well, there's crew. Christian on the left, knows what this view looks like. Well, both times Christian Poulsen has stood on the top step of the Le Mans podium, he's heard his own anthem.
He has indeed. Danish
Essex
team.
Racing in Lmp3, Danish anthem.
And I'll say it again, it's a win just as much for the man who made this happen with Christian, and that is Casper Elgaard.
Yep.
Casper, the boys, I'm sure, are with you, and we will see you as soon as you're possibly ready.
Yeah, with a bit of luck, they might keep the cork on one of the bottles of champagne and enjoy opening it on Casper's return to the paddock. So it is victory for GMB Motorsport, the Hondas. Casper Jensen there, and Christian Poulsen beside him.
Huge result for them.
Winners. Yeah,
another
absolutely.
Excellent race at the end there, fending off the until then dominant WRT Audi. And that car, by the way, does seem to suit the Robin brothers. It's good to see. It would be great to see WRT taking another couple of these rounds of the Michelin Le Mans Cup.
Yep. Well,
but another good result for the Bullet Racing crew.
WRT Audi on the podium, whoever would have thought it? You know, what with their heritage of just winning so frequently in GT3. Well, again, an entirely entertaining race weekend for the Michelin Le Mans Cup crews and drivers and families and friends, and as ever, a chance to come and race at Le Mans. That is really the big fat worm on the hook that draws in so many people. And Bailey, sitting here watching it all, yep, okay, fine, containing your excitement commendably well, but it is definitely now very much at the top of your to-do list, right?
100%. It's the top thing I want to do, and just seeing everyone on the podium makes me want to be there even more.
Well, we'll wrap it up from the road to Le Mans. 2 fantastic races, the second one in the sunshine in front of a pretty much full crowd here. With thanks to Simon Butler, to Bailey Voisin, and thank you so much to Martin Hay for joining us this morning. I've been Graham Goodwin. Join us for the Michelin Le Mans Cup at Monza next month.